How many of us in our lives feel invisible? How many of us feel invisible? What do I mean by that? Well, if we are faithful to our calling and we follow the commandments, we do what is just, we do what is right before God, we are faithful in our prayer lives, we're faithful in coming to Mass, we can do all those things and feel like no one sees us, no one recognizes the hard work, the sacrifice, the suffering, sometimes suffering, that all of that entails. How many of us feel invisible? We do these things and we wonder, does anyone see, does anyone notice, does this have any value, what I'm doing? Well, we heard the answer to that question. In the letter to the Hebrews, St. Paul says, God is not unjust so as to overlook your work and the love you have demonstrated for his name. Every sacrifice, every act of love that we commit, God sees all of that. So this reading is such a consolation for those of us who feel like, or sometimes have the question, is this worth it? God sees us. We are not invisible for God. And at the end of the day, that's the only person we should be trying to please, right? Is God. We're not here to get a pat on the back or an applause for being such good Christian people. No. Our relationship with God is between us and God. And that's it. Later, St. Paul goes on and he says, we earnestly desire each of you to demonstrate the same eagerness for the fulfillment of hope until the end. I think this is so important because how many people begin the Christian way of life only to set it aside months or years later? How many people get tired on the journey or turn their eyes to worldly pleasures and they lose their faith, they lose their love? And it's a slow, slippery slope. Sometimes we don't even recognize it or realize it, and then before we know it, we're so far away from God that we don't even feel like we can find our way back. Perseverance, brothers and sisters, perseverance is so important until the end. Until the end. That we are faithful in the big things and in the small things until the end. That's what this life is all about. It's not about accumulating stuff. It's not about working ourselves to death or watching hundreds and thousands of hours of television. It's about being faithful until the end. Many begin, but saints persevere. Will you be one of those saints?